Hey, I'm Sarah Poff, the multimedia storyteller. It's getting a little cool outside. It's going to be time for a fire pretty soon. It's time to start thinking about fall and all those great activities we have in the fall. So get ready to come with me and let's paint about fall. All right, here we go. Okay, you see my painting here? All the pretty leaves are going to be falling soon. Changing colors, falling, and I don't know about you, but I really want a painting on my wall, a new painting this year. So get ready, here we're gonna do it. I'm gonna clear a little bit of spot out here. Just always like to set the stage of what we're doing. So I have 4 pumpkins in there. We usually try to do odd amounts. However, this, counts as a bigger object like that. And then we've got the sunflowers set in there too. So let's just think about how we're going to do this. We're going to do some background color. We want to block in some pumpkin areas, especially like the lantern. I brought my lantern in so you could see that shape. And we're going to go for it. So we're going to draw pumpkins, we're going to draw the lantern kind of shape in, then work on the background, and then go forward. Okay, here we go. So those pumpkins, now pumpkins can be about any shape you want. That's round or oval, you know what I mean. I'm not talking about square pumpkins, I'm just talking about, there's a lot of different ways you can do that. Okay, pencil. I might just have to start with my paper. There's my pencil. You got lost, pencil. My favorite kind of pencil, a little one. All right, so I'm going to start with, I want to start with this one because it's kind of in the foreground. So I'm just going to like block in a shape. I want a little one over here. Just block it in a shape. Now let's do another one over here. And then I want a longer, thin one right in here. And for now, I'm just going to put this in as a rectangle. And you see what I'm doing? I'm doing sketchy lines. I'm not doing hard, fast lines. I'm doing sketchy lines so that I can make them a little flexible as I'm going through this. And even this, I'm not doing the whole, on the lantern, I'm not doing the whole thing. I'm going to go ahead and put the top part up here, though. There we go. Okay. Now, let's see. The items need to sit on the table. So I'm going to bring my line in about here. So this will be table, and this will be the background. I have the background in mind to be some tans. There's a little bit of green in there. I may go for more of just a tan today. Pumpkins, there's all different colors these days. So that's your choice. I like to stay with mostly the typical orange. However, you're welcome to do whatever you see. And I know we have a lot of foam pumpkins from different craft stores. There's the foam kind, there's the plastic kind. A lot of them look very realistic that are all different kinds of colors. So, paintings are your option. I do just a canvas board a lot of times. You can do it on poster board. You could do it on some kind of cardboard. Masonite canvas, a framed canvas, you could do that. It's up to you. You're the artist here. These are a class that we try to accomplish in about an hour. And the basics will be in. You can always add more. That's just how these go. Now, on this one, I did come back and outline with Sharpie. I felt like it needed some more definition. I didn't want to go back in with a paintbrush. A paintbrush is always an option on that. And probably the truer artist would do that. The craft people, it doesn't matter as much with them, it seems like. All right, so let's go for getting that brown in. So I just have an assortment of brushes. I don't pay a lot of attention to the size. I kind of look over my brushes and go, oh, what am I painting? Like well, that looks good. That looks good. And I do like this because I let a lot of people use my brushes. And sometimes they don't get clean right. And then I just start in. So when we're doing one of these, we want it to be lightly painted. So we're basically just trying to cover the canvas. Now this one has some hair problems. The hairs are uneven. I'm going to move the painting to do this. The hairs are uneven, so I'm just going to take my scissors and I'm going to even that up. Because when I'm getting close to the pumpkin, I really don't want that brown to trail in very much. And I was a little afraid it might. Now what I do a lot of times on the table, on painting like this, is I put the basic brown in there that I want, if I want a wood grain table. And then I come back with a Sharpie, sometimes a paintbrush, and then I add some of the grain, the wood grain lines. Just depends on, you know, when you do it, when you want to do it, what do you want to try with it. I can show you how to add some of that paint in there in just a minute. Get this brown just blocked in. Blocking it in. Okay, I'm going to show you one way you can do that if you add in the black. So you don't want a lot of black. You're going to touch your brush to the black, but you're going to rub a lot of that black off because you don't want a lot. And then I sometimes just do something like this, and then I go back to my brown paintbrush. I kind of blend it down. Now this time I'm trying to go across. I don't want to go up and down as I did when I was painting that, because I wanted to get that a little bit more of that wood grain. So that's a little bit of wood grain in there. You can make it a little fancier with some of the spots that it would have from how we know wood looks. I always keep a few pictures. When I find a picture of that, I keep one so that I can have that as access to looking at what it does look like. All right, now I'm going to go for painting the more of the brown. So I want to, this time I'm going to use a little bit smaller brush. I'm going to dip. I use the craft paints. I don't use you know, just each color. I use the red, yellow, blue, black, white, and then I use a lot of brown. So I usually buy brown, and a lot of times I have green and orange because I use them a lot. And most everything else I mix, but I know how to mix it. Even if you just have red, yellow, blue, and black and white, you can always mix those. And on some of my videos, I've actually done that where I didn't use anything but the primary colors in black and white. Okay, now to make that little pumpkin, I'm going to need to come back around here a little bit. Now this brush did retain some of that black in it. I got the one that I had black, so you have to see a little bit of black mixed in. Goes ahead and kind of makes it look like that. Some of that wood grain. Except in here I didn't go across. I went up and down because it's easier when you're in the midst of something like that. We're gonna go, I think I really want to block this in. I'm gonna make this guy smaller. I made him bigger in this painting than I did the sample painting. Oh, I can just think about, oh, those fires on a night when the leaves have started falling and it's a bit cold and chilly, sitting around a campfire. Some hot chocolate. Or maybe those s'mores. Oh, fall is my favorite time. Now I'm going to switch because this brush, like that other one, I think too many children have used that one. So I'm going to get a different one. Or maybe I just didn't wash my brush good. Maybe I shouldn't say the kids. The granddaughters might get on to me. They're the ones that use my brushes the most these days. However, there's many of classes I've taught that they've used them too. As COVID slowed that down. All right. Now I do want to try to go back and forth across, even though sometimes when I fill in, I'm going down. Now you'll start to see my shapes more this way. Now what some artists do is they come up with a shape they like, or even craft people like to do this too, and they have some stencils they use. So they figure out ahead of time how they want that pumpkin to look, how they want any object that they're using in their painting to look, and then they trace it. Now the good thing about that, especially if I decided I wanted this painting to give to my friends for the fall, or maybe somebody has a birthday in the fall, or something you want to do something nice for them in the fall, then you could just repeat that real easy. You could just take that shape, draw it on there, you know, get it filled in pretty quickly. I was milling one of the smaller ones out the other day, and it's like, it really didn't cost that much. It really and truly, it wasn't that much different than if I had gone and bought an expensive card to do it. Of course, it took me spending some time. The paint is very marginal, how much you use, really. Especially if you go for the like the method that I've talked to you about, that you're using the big ones. So you're using the big size, mixing your own from those, and watch for the sales at some of the craft stores. That helps out. Go into some of those cheaper stores that sell the canvas. The flat canvas, and that flat board canvas, it doesn't take much to mail. I have done paintings on poster boards, though. A real thick poster board, that works nice too. And those, of course, are easy to mail. If you decided you wanted to do this in watercolor, that is certainly something you could do. I use heavy on watercolor, a non-traditional way of using watercolor. I painted in, and it'd be just about almost as bold as this. Maybe not quite, but almost. It's just the technique I like. I know there's a different way to do watercolor. You're welcome to like it. Welcome to go make it. But you can use the same kind of principles with it. The same, even like if you wanted to try this in watercolor, you could do that. You could try this in tempera paint. I favor tempera cakes when working with children, because once you buy that, it lasts a really long time. It's about this big, looks like a hockey puck. Smaller, of course, but it kind of looks like a hockey puck. And there is tons of paint on there, and it doesn't have as much mess with it as does the acrylic, the wet tempera, those kinds of things. Now, I don't know that I've ever tried it on canvas paint, but I have tried it on boards that I painted on, some of the poster boards and such, and it makes a nice quality painting. Okay, all right. Now I'm going to add a little bit of black real quick. So I always want to make sure that when I touch this, then I wipe some of it back off, because I don't want tons of black. I just want a little bit of black. I want to give it enough of a look that somebody goes, oh, well, that's wood. It does help if you look where you're putting your brush, Sarah Poff. That would help. Let's see if I can get a paper towel here. Okay, now let's turn it upside down. Oops, forgot. I didn't blend these down. Had too much fun putting paint on myself. I know, sometimes I do this to check out the paint. So I hope that maybe you decide you see this video on Mid-Continent Public Library's YouTube channel, and maybe you invite some people over. Oh, that'd be great. Invite some people over and have some fun with this video. All right, so we want to paint that background in for the top. We want to leave out this and the pumpkin. And I think we're just going to go for the flowers on top. I think they'll be all right because those sunflowers sometimes have a little bit of a darker color in them anyway. So that's what we're going to go for here. All right, let's see about a brush. All right, so let me think. I did this with a real, like, almost a wash on there. So I'm going to pull a little brown over here. So I pull on my plate, I pulled a little brown. I use my Corel plates. Yeah, I do. It works real good for me. I like to save the paint and make things out of it. I make earrings and jewelry and such. The other day I made a butterfly. My granddaughter looked at it. She's like, that looks like a butterfly. How about we make one? So we did. So we tried it out. So I'm going to put a little yellow. Maybe a tad of white. I don't think I want a lot of white, just a tad. Okay. Now I like that pretty good, but now I've got to add a little more. So I'm pulling my paint to here because I don't want to mess up all my yellow and all my white and all my brown to make this for just that background. Now I'm going to add a little bit of water. And as I'm painting that, I'm going to add some more water because I'm wanting this to be really light in nature and color. And I'm also going to have to switch to a smaller brush while I'm around some of the objects. All right, I'm going to start with that brush. Let's see, which one do I want to use? I want a little one. And I'm doing what I told you I do when I do the drawing in of the objects. I'm doing more of a sketching. I'm just kind of wanting to be able to fill that in so that I can stop my brush there. And you'll find if you watch me and painting classes, I try all different things different times. I'm not like static in what I think you should or shouldn't do. This is your artwork. I want you to feel good about it. I want you to experiment and try. I have learned more things as far as creativity go from my art students that I've taught through the years than I have learned anywhere else. They're just so creative, and they get me to think out of the box. I'll show them how to do something. They're like, well, how about this? And they're not afraid. Sometimes we as adults get in our little world and we're a little bit afraid that maybe we'll do it wrong. I've taught some workshops actually in this greater Kansas City area where the adults were so so set on doing it exactly like me, they were afraid to be creative on their own. And I don't want you to feel like that. I'm showing you the basics of how to get this going in this hour. You know, I would feel that I succeeded if you liked it enough to come back and do another one of my paintings. If you liked it enough to repeat this class, this video that's on YouTube. This library system, I'm really excited about them adding on a lot of things for us to learn on the YouTube. I got my storytelling certificate from Mid-Continent. Now I go around and all over the state of Missouri and I tell stories. And it's because I learned it here at Mid-Continent. The Woodneath branch of the library is where the Storytelling Center is located. Not every library has such a great system about helping us learn. And in so many ways, not just, not just books, but in so many ways. So see, this almost does kind of look a watercolorish like. But I want something light on the canvas. Now, I almost think I got too much. Probably not. The best thing to do is to try it out before you commit to the paper, the canvas, the Masonite, the poster board, whichever your choice of materials is. See, I want it to go across, but I'm going to do like that. Now my line is a little darker than my background. However, once I paint the pumpkins and the lantern on there, I don't think that'll be a problem. I think we'll be okay with that. Okay. Now, I'm going to blow dry just in case. Probably a good thing. I just got brown paint on me. Just think, this is going to be your own masterpiece for your own house. Yay! Yay! I'm going to choose a fairly good sized brush, and I'm going to paint in the 3 orange pumpkins. My orange is a little bright for what I really want, but I think I'm going to go ahead and paint them in, and then I'm going to add some of that kind of golden color in that I used in the background. Because sometimes it's about getting all the, just getting it all blocked in first. Paint, 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 paint. I sure do like to paint. I like to create. Not do I just like to paint, I like to create. What's your favorite art to do? What's your favorite craft to do? My favorite sculpture. Now, if I'm painting, of course, some of my sculptures have been about my folk art, but more of the paintings have been. If I'm painting, I'm usually doing folk art. If I'm painting for me, which I don't get that chance too often, there's usually something that someone wants me to paint. Oh, that's what happens. But like I said, you can paint this, the canvas board. If you watch for it, go to those places that sell things cheap, and you watch for a canvas board. Now sometimes you can't go in there and they have them right then. Sometimes you have to watch. I know when we travel across, we always look for those stores that sell these and go see. And then I buy a bunch, like 20. But that way, if I have a class I'm teaching and I have 20 people, I'm prepared. Okay, now I want to take this color here in. I want to blend it in while that paint's still not dry. And then I want to, once I get it kind of blocked in, I want to go from top to bottom. And I want to kind of bring it towards the center. Start on the outside, because that starts in that ribbing of the pumpkin kind of feel. Looks like I've got some dried paint mixed in there. Which you can then, come back and do this with a small paintbrush. That is done with a Sharpie. It looks like I did a black Sharpie. A brown Sharpie might be good too. All right, we got a couple more pumpkins here that we want orange. Sometimes when I'm trying to concentrate, I can't tell as many stories. I always liked the fall, though, because Mom, well, her birthday, when I was older, I realized, I always thought, well, my mom and I have something special. Our birthdays are really close together. Well, mine's at the end of October, and hers is the 1st of September. But I remember riding in the car by myself with her, and we would talk about fall and all the things that we were going to do and our birthdays, and I think that's probably why I thought that. But it's funny, as an adult, I look back and went, oh, that's not close. It's 2 months apart. Because hers is the very 1st of September. Mine's the very last. But I do remember the smell of the leaves and the raking of the leaves. And, as we burn them, we would rake them together, burn them. We'd throw them in the ditches. I lived in a swamp area down in southeast Missouri. And we had great old huge ditches. We'd throw all those leaves in the ditches. And then we would jump in. It was so much fun. So much fun. Did you ever do anything like that? Do your children or grandchildren do anything like that? My grandchildren do. They enjoy that. They do. We rake up a big pile and they jump in it. Oh, you got to be careful. If you touch the black paint, you get black paint on you. Okay, here we go. So I'm doing the same thing I did before. I'm just adding a little extra color there to kind of blend it down. I think I'm going to wipe off a little orange. All right. I believe the next thing I'm going to try is I'm going to put the yellow out for the flowers, because it's quite possible that I will need 2 coats on those flowers, and then I want to paint the little square rectangle, I should say, in the lantern. So I'm going to just draw that real quick here. And now if you'd like to measure, sure, go for it. I realize I've done a lot of items in front of the classroom on a chalkboard, and I've made a lot of mistakes that way. Yes, I have. But I just, you know, keep going until we get it right. Keep going until we get it right. And if you make it light with a pencil, you can always erase if it doesn't work out right. So like maybe my spacing isn't right there, but I'm just going to add a little frame around, which I would have done anyway. See, as you watch my YouTubes on how to paint these simple paintings, you'll learn that I just go for it like that. It's just how I do it. I don't know what to say except that I'm not a harsh person on this rule or that rule as far as art goes. It's about you going at the level you are, not getting upset with yourself, and going to the next level. And enjoying what you do, enjoying what you do. Okay, so I'm going to do that. Then I'm going to do my sunflowers. I'm going to take a brush. I think this one will work. And I'm going to kind of do like that for those sunflowers. Let's see, maybe this one. This one might be better. Something like this. And then I'm going to print my brush. And then if that doesn't work like I want it to, I'll do something else here in a minute. All right, so let's see. I'm going to paint this in first. Now this is a little bright on the yellow color. I'm going to take that kind of wash color from here and go all over it here in a minute. Okay, now switch back to that other brush. I'll have to do this one because I think I mixed up the orange in there. Yes, I have to find me another brush because I did. I mixed up the orange in it. So we're kind of like drawing our picture, then kind of just filling it in. And remember, we're doing shapes. Did you see how all that is? That's just shapes. That's all it is on there is shapes. So if you break a painting down, and just break it down into shapes, then that's good. All right, I'm going to draw some circles with the Sharpie, and that's going to be the center of our sunflowers. So I'm going to draw a circle, and I'm going to put some dots on there. Do one like here. And you see that I don't even have leaves on there. I mean, you're welcome to add leaves if you want. That's, you know, this is your painting. This is your creation, your masterpiece. This is just how I set out to do it. Doesn't mean it's right or wrong. It's just my version. And I feel like you should have that choice too. It's just your version. Okay, so then when I mixed a little bit of brown in there, when I do this, before I go to print, I usually try to like roll the brush around so that the bristles kind of stay together a little easier. You know, I'm going to use my hairdryer real quick here because I already got a little orange on there. Oh, hairdryer is a useful thing to have around paintings. Turn my painting like that, and then I'm going to print, and I'm going to print, and I'm going to print. I'll try to use the brush, if I can remember, try to use the brush from the same direction each time so that the shape is closer because it's thinner down here when you do this. Okay. Now I'm going to let it dry just a bit, and then I'm going to come back and do that again. And I want to paint these brown before I start. Use this brush already had brown on it. We're going to do this, and then I'm going to get a different one so I can outline it. So this time I put just a tad of water on my brush. I don't want it to be really deep, that deep brown all over, so I'm just kind of adding a little bit more on there. And then it appears that my dots I'll have to redo. Just simply have to redo those. So while I'm doing that, I think I'll go ahead and put one over here. Nope, I am not going to do that. I'm gonna skip back because I got to thinking I need to put that color for the lantern first. Because I want to be able to do the sunflower on top of it. Sunflower on top. Let's see. I did that with a like blackish gray. And I didn't put much paint. I did just a little bit of paint. I don't want a lot. I want a place I can put some water to mix in with it. Okay. Sometimes necessity is the mother of invention. See, on this, I kind of even like the fact that, you know, we've got the texture, that we can see the texture of the canvas. And it doesn't matter if I go on this line because I'm either going to paint that with black marker, black paint, or do it with a marker, Sharpie. Or if you wanted to, you could do it with a brown. Lots of times things that we think of as wrought iron, they are black. Like this right here, it's metal of some kind. It's plastic at the top. That design's kind of pretty too with the little diamond-y shapes in it. Okay, it looks like I'm going to have to mix a little more. So I did a little black, a little white, a little water in the palm of my hand. Acrylic the oil in your skin keeps acrylic on the top of the skin. I actually like this color better than the first color. Trying to go the same, remind myself to go the same direction, same direction, same direction. Sometimes those things are hard to recall. You want to, you know, your mind's going, how do I get it done the quickest, the easiest? But the same direction will make it look nicer in the end. Sometimes you can see those strokes. There we go. Now, quick clean up here. I'm going to touch my paper towel to the water. There we go. I'm clean. Ready to go again. Yes, I don't paint clean. I got to get me another paper towel though. There we go. All right. Here we go. except I did that opposite to what I did last time, so let's just turn it around. There we go. Oh, I still haven't gotten out into a field and taken a selfie in those sunflower fields. Have you? Oh, I hope so. I've wanted to, and it just hasn't worked in my schedule yet. Just hasn't worked. Are you having a painting party today with somebody? That's an idea. Just get together and have a painting party. So see, I got the basic shape. Now I'm going to just go back and add a little more. Okay, this is going to need a bunch. So I'm going to add, sometimes if you add white, it'll help cover easier. Oh, looky there. So I added a little white to my yellow. Sometimes yellow just gets so transparent on us. So I touched it into white, mixed it into my yellow, touched it in white, mixed it into my yellow. And then you can see how much better that started to cover that brown. It's possible on my other one that I drew it on there before I painted the tablecloth. I don't recall. I made that last season. Okay, now I'm going to have to reshore up the center because I actually touched in, but that's a darker color, so we should be okay on that. Okay, I'm going to add a little white. Still want it to be real yellow, but I'm adding just a little bit of white so that it covers some underneath items. Okay. And I twirl my paintbrush around in the paint to kind of get those bristles going like I want them to. And they don't all have to be perfect. Just, get them close. As the old professor used to say, get them close enough that somebody thinks they know what you made, and you'll be good. You'll be good. And I noticed that. I looked at other paintings and other drawings, and I was like, oh, he's right. He's right. Don't draw in all the bricks, just some of them. Oh, this needs to actually cover up more space there, I think, to have a good design. So the rule of the thirds and the dominant interest and the subdominant. So our dominant interest is in here, and then you've got the subdominance going. And then you also are supposed to stand back from your painting. Stand back, look at it, think about it, think about the placement of your items. Okay. So that's going to be the center of my flower. And then I'm going to put the petals here. Looks like we're doing pretty good on our timing. Of course, when you do something like this, there's always more that could be done later. That's just how they work. Just how they work. If you want this to maybe look a little bit more sunflower-ish, you might want to make a little more of a point on the end of some of those. I'm hoping I have some sunflowers planted in my garden, but I'm not sure those seeds are going to work this year. I used to drive along Woods Chapel Road on the way to work every day, and all along the road there were wild sunflowers. Oh, when they made it into a 4-lane, I was sad to see those wild sunflowers go away. I know we needed it. We did. It was true. But it's just sometimes there's a compromise between the past and moving on into the present. I did stop one day and get some seeds. And then we moved. And I wasn't able to bring, it was the wrong season to bring some up and forward with me. So I hope you will try out some of the other videos. The library also has other videos that teach you about how to do some other types of art. Sometimes it's a program in person, sometimes it's on the YouTube channel. So there's all kinds of things you can learn. There's also an online teaching within the system of the library's website that you can go to if you log in and go to. And of course, I'm a big fan, with all the genealogy I like, I'm a big fan of going out there to the genealogy center, the Midwest Genealogy Center. Great place to be. One of the things that my husband and I did there that he was so excited about is he is a military brat, and his mom and dad were living in Louisville, Kentucky area when he was born. And he went and found a phone book and found them in it from his birth year. So he was very excited. They've got a whole section that's called phone books. In the Kansas City area, we are so lucky to have Mid-Continent Public Library and all the ways you can learn. All the ways. Because we each learn a little different. And we have multiple ways we can learn. Okay, there we go. Well, I talked us through that part. We're going to get close on time, though. Here we got to get this other going. So if you don't have teal paint and you want this pumpkin to be teal, you're going to take and bring a little green over here, a tad of blue, and you're going to mix. Now if you want a little more blue, touch a little more blue in there. All right. And I think I want a little water in there. The good thing about being at home doing this is you can stop this video whenever you need. And you can take a break. You can let it dry. You can think about it some more. Now on the other one, I have a little bit of browns mixed in. See if I can go up here to my browns. Now if the paint gets a little bit heavy on there, you know, you're going like, well, it looks more of a wash kind of effect on here. I like that better than what my painting actually has. So here's, let me get this in here just a little bit more. Here's what you can do. Take a paper towel, rub some of it back off. Now it did take away our outline. Get that painted in. I have a pumpkin stem I always bring with me on times like this when I'm painting something like this. Sometimes that helps to think about, because that's one of the things that we need real quick here. We need a pumpkin stem. So we want brown. I don't think I want just brown. I want to add just a little yellow in that. I want to try it out. Okay. And pumpkin stems, sometimes they're straight, but they're not always. So I'm going to play into the fact I don't want this one straight because I want it to play into my design. How does it fit into my design? And by curving it, it allows the eye to move around more. Okay, let's go for this one. I wanted to just kind of be like straighter because it's the center. And I pulled a little bit of that green in there, which I think I'm all right with. Okay. So I want it to go in on that one. This one I'm going to, I think I'm just going to go like this. In the other painting, it's not really even in there. Now, I kind of like how that went like that because we know we see more of that. You also, the ribbing, you're going to have to wait and do with the permanent marker later. So if you go back to this video and you want to see mine, then you can do that. And then I want to work a little bit more on this, and then it's going to be about time to go. And I think I can actually use my Sharpie because this painting is dry in this section right here. So I'm going to just do like this. Okay, I'm going to turn it upside down since the pumpkins aren't dry. So I like to turn it whichever way you draw, the straightest the best. Now don't forget to sign your name because this is your masterpiece now. And if you're just learning and you want to see, you know, later you're going to want to go, oh, that's what I did. Oh, look at me. I've gotten better at this. So then I want to do a little bit around the edges here. And you could take a ruler and measure this. You certainly could. That is for sure. Now it looks like what I need to do is I need to take a little bit of gray and I need to paint in there. I'm trying it out. So I want to do it in quickly because we're about out of time here. That gray's a little stronger than the other one. And it's also going to cover up my marks, but you can go back in there. I can go back in there and shore that up with a Sharpie later. So that's about our hour. The main thing that we haven't done, and we can't really do it right now, is we haven't like put the outlines on there. It will help bring it to a lot more, because I remember looking at this. I lay these out on the floor in my office when I'm painting, and I will think, that needs more. That, even like this, I probably will go back and paint that, or get a marker that is maybe one that's a little newer for that. That, you know, those kind of things. Now, I think before I do give up, I'm going to quit. Give up on this right now, maybe. Quit on this right now, but it will definitely come back to it later. I hope you've enjoyed this. We try to make these simple, easy to follow, no matter what your painting skills are. And I'm going to show that other one real quick before we quit, so that you can recall what it looks like if you want to freeze that screen. Like this one right here, I probably need to repaint again. Okay, here we go. So we've got the basics all in there. However, after it dries, we need to come back in with a Sharpie, with a small paintbrush. If you have those skills and you want to do, you know, a small paintbrush to go in and outline, or if you want to use the complementary color and you want to make it there, you know, that's kind of your choice. So you could do any of those. All right, this is another painting with Sarah Poff, the Multimedia Storyteller. You guys have a great day now.